A sergeant named Logan Carter was on a high-risk mission with his canine German Shepherd, Titan. On that freezing night, the mission went terribly wrong, and Logan was left bleeding severely in a dark alley with no backup. Titan, however, stood by Logan's side, refusing to give up. As the night unfolded, Logan's strength began to fade, but Titan remained determined. The dog's actions that night left the entire police force speechless. Before diving into the incredible story, it's essential to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on notifications to stay updated on inspiring stories like this one. The cold wind was blowing through the dark alleys of downtown Chicago, accompanied by the distant sounds of sirens. Sergeant Logan Carter was moving swiftly, with a steady heartbeat, despite the high-risk operation unfolding around him. His canine German Shepherd Titan was beside him, silently scanning every shadow. The mission was supposed to be a routine drug bust, a takedown of one of the city's most dangerous gangs. However, something felt off. Logan's radio crackled, and Unit 4 asked if he had eyes on the target. Logan responded negatively, saying they were moving in. Titan let out a low growl, sensing something before Logan did. A fraction of a second later, a gunshot tore through the silence, and pain exploded in Logan's chest as he stumbled backward. The mission was high risk, involving a takedown of one of the city's most dangerous gangs. Logan and Titan were the only ones present when the mission went wrong. Titan remained calm and determined despite the chaotic situation. The dog's actions that night left the entire police force speechless. The mission was supposed to be a routine drug bust, but something felt off. Logan's strength began to fade as he bled severely in the alley. Titan stood by Logan's side, refusing to give up. Logan was hit but managed to stay conscious, and his German Shepherd Titan took action to protect him by standing guard. Original. His vision blurring, he'd been hit. Titan snapped into action. The canine German Shepherd barked ferociously, standing over Logan, as if daring anyone to come closer. Paraphrase. Logan was injured and struggling to stay awake, but his trusty dog, Titan, sprang into action to safeguard him, barking fiercely to keep any. As time ran out, Titan decided to seek help on his own, knowing he couldn't wait for backup to arrive. Original. Sensing the urgency of the moment, the dog's instinct told him that Logan didn't have much time. Backup wasn't coming fast enough. If Titan didn't act, Logan would die right there in that alley. Paraphrase. Recognizing that Logan's life hung in the balance, and backup was too slow to arrive, Titan made the decision to take matters into his own paws. With a clear goal in mind, Titan sprinted through the empty streets of downtown Chicago, determined to find help and save his handler. Original. If Titan didn't act, Logan would die right there in that alley. Titan made his decision with one last glance at Logan. The canine German Shepherd bolted into the darkness, his powerful legs carrying him toward the only hope left: the station or anyone who could help. Paraphrase. With a singular focus on saving Logan, Titan embarked on a desperate dash through the dimly lit streets, driven by an unyielding will to find aid and rescue his handler. As he navigated through the streets, Titan's keen senses guided him towards his teammate, Officer Daniel Briggs. Original. The streets of downtown Chicago were nearly empty at this hour, dimly lit by flickering street lights. Titan moved like a shadow, dodging trash bins, leaping over puddles, and cutting through alleys. His ears twitched at every sound, but nothing mattered except finding help. Then, a familiar scent: officer Daniel Briggs, Logan's closest teammate. Titan's sharp nose caught his presence. Paraphrase. Undeterred by the darkness, Titan skillfully maneuvered through the deserted streets, utilizing his acute senses to pinpoint his target: the presence of Officer Daniel Briggs, Logan's closest colleague. Briggs was about to check in with dispatch when a sudden attack caught him off guard. Titan, his German Shepherd, lunged at him, its strong jaws clamping onto his sleeve. As Briggs stumbled, Titan's urgent behavior became clear. Something was wrong. The dog's eyes were flashing with an intense warning, and Briggs knew he had to trust his instincts. With years of experience working with Titan, Briggs recognized that this was no ordinary reaction. He grabbed his radio, and as he sprinted after Titan, he called out for backup. "Officer down. I repeat, officer down. We need paramedics now." The response was immediate, with dispatch confirming the code and providing a location. Briggs followed Titan through the dark streets, the K9 moving at incredible speed, weaving through alleys with precision and accuracy. As they finally stopped, Briggs saw the source of Titan's distress. A dark alley, a pool of blood on the pavement, and a motionless figure. Logan, Briggs' partner. The blood wouldn't stop, and Logan's face was pale, his eyes unfocused. Briggs rushed to his side, pressing his hands against the wound in an attempt to slow the bleeding. Logan was struggling to breathe, his gasps shallow and painful. With a surge of adrenaline, Briggs urged him to stay awake. "Logan, stay with me, buddy." As Briggs worked to save his partner, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong, and that this was no ordinary attack. The urgency in Titan's behavior was clear. Someone had to act fast to save Logan's life. Logan was becoming conscious after being in a critical state. His body temperature began to rise due to the warmth of his blood circulating through his system. However, he was still weak and disoriented. His loyal dog, Titan, noticed his struggle and showed concern by nuzzling Logan's cheek. The dog's actions seemed to urge Logan to stay awake. Despite his efforts, Logan could barely speak, his lips moving slowly as he managed to utter a few words, asking if he had made it through the ordeal. Logan's friend Briggs responded positively, assuring him that he was safe and had been brought straight to a secure location. Noticing Logan's smile, Briggs was relieved to see some sign of recovery. However, Briggs knew that Logan was still in a vulnerable state, as evidenced by his struggling to stay awake. Briggs urged him to hold on, knowing that help was on the way. The sound of sirens could be heard in the distance, getting louder by the second. Titan's ears perked up, alerting Briggs to potential danger. The can warned a deep growl, as if sensing an intruder. Briggs quickly drew his gun, scanning the darkness for any signs of the gang that had previously attempted to harm Logan. Titan stood in front of Logan, protecting him with his rigid body and bristling fur. Just when it seemed like Titan was about to launch an attack, Briggs heard a voice shouting, "CPD, lower your weapons, it's us." The arrival of the police had interrupted the tense scene. Titan relaxed but remained vigilant, still positioned next to Logan. The paramedics rushed in, attempting to stabilize Logan's condition. They informed Briggs that Logan had suffered a severe bullet wound to his lower left side. Logan's body was lifted onto a stretcher, but he was unconscious and unresponsive. Titan whined loudly, trying to follow Logan, but Briggs restrained him, placing a firm hand on his back and saying, "Easy boy." The paramedics quickly applied pressure to Logan's wound and inserted in 4-line, assessing his condition. They radioed in that the patient was in a critical but stable condition and preparing for transport. As they loaded Logan into the ambulance, Titan seemed frozen, his ears twitching and tail low, his gaze fixed on his injured partner. With a long, mournful whine, Titan watched the ambulance disappear into the night. Briggs knelt down beside Titan, his hand gently stroking the German Shepherd's fur. "You did good, boy," he whispered, trying to comfort the protective and distraught animal. Titan's chest rose and fell with slow, steady breaths, but his eyes remained fixed on the distance where Logan had been taken. The hospital lights above the emergency room doorway flickered as the medical team rushed to attend to Logan, moving quickly and speaking in a flurry of urgent voices. Outside, Titan paced restlessly, his nails clicking against the tile floor as he anxiously waited for news. He couldn't understand why he was being left behind, having never left Logan's side before. Officer Daniel Briggs sat in a nearby plastic chair, watching Titan with concern, his body tense as he listened to the sounds within the hospital. Every time a nurse or doctor passed by, Titan's head snapped up, his eyes filled with desperate hope, but no one brought Logan back. Briggs tried to soothe Titan, whispering softly, "Easy, boy." Briggs expressed his relief upon hearing that Sergeant Carter was stable after being shot and was moved to the ICU. However, he was more concerned about his partner's safety and well-being, and he requested to see him. In response, the doctor agreed to let Briggs see Sergeant Carter, but warned him to keep the dog calm. Nevertheless, as soon as Briggs opened the door, Titan, the German Shepherd, ran into the ICU room following the scent of his handler. Upon entering the room, Briggs saw that Logan was hooked up to machines and an oxygen mask was over his face. He was breathing slowly and weakly, which caused concern for Briggs. Titan jumped onto the side of the hospital bed and sniffed Logan carefully, letting out a low whine when he noticed that his handler's scent was faint and fragile. Briggs sat beside Logan and told Titan that he had a stubborn partner, to which Titan didn't respond but stayed by Logan's side, unmoving and waiting. The beeping of the monitors in the ICU room filled the silence as Briggs leaned back in his chair, prepared to wait for Logan to wake up. In the dimly lit hospital room, a lone sound rang out, the rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor, while the air was filled with the sterile scent of antiseptic and medication. Titan, a large dog, rested his paws firmly against the hospital bed, his head lowered onto Logan's arm, his watchful eyes locked onto his motionless handler's face. Next to them, Briggs sat sipping from a cup of cold coffee, weighed down by exhaustion, but Titan stood unshackable, refusing to rest or leave Logan's side. The nurse had tried to coax Titan away from Logan, but the dog had growled a warning, refusing to abandon his handler. Briggs couldn't help but chuckle and shake his head, calling Titan a damn good partner. Titan barely acknowledged Briggs' words, his mind elsewhere, waiting, watching, and protecting. Logan, on the other hand, found himself drifting into a strange, silent world. In this void, Logan felt weightless, floating in an endless ocean with no waves, sky, or horizon. Distant and distorted voices reached his ears, but none of them were clear enough to grasp. Then, a familiar sound pierced the silence, a low, deep whine. Logan and Titan tried to move, but Logan's body was trapped and his strength was slipping away. A memory flashed before Logan's eyes, a young, eager canine staring up at him, waiting for his first command. Logan had smiled and reached out to ruffle the dog's fur, saying, "We're going to be the best damn team." Logan was suddenly jolted back into consciousness in a late-night moment of crucial need. His memories of that event etched vividly in his mind. He recalled a patrol, empty streets, and Titan being there to protect him. The first time Titan saved Logan's life was when a suspect lunged at him with a knife. Titan intervened just in the nick of time, diffusing the situation and saving Logan from a potentially fatal injury. As memories flooded back, Logan's body began to respond as well. He felt pain, saw the alley, and heard a gunshot. The sharp pain and blood loss caused him to lose consciousness momentarily. However, Titan waited patiently, providing Logan with the willpower he desperately needed to fight through the fog and regain his composure. When Briggs, Logan's handler, spotted the movement, he nearly spilled his coffee. The medical monitors started to beep in a new pattern as Logan's heart rate stabilized and his breathing became steady. Briggs was ecstatic when Logan's eyelids flickered and he swallowed. Logan's lips barely moved when he whispered, "Thanks, Titan." Titan let out a sharp, high-pitched bark, acknowledging his handler's gratitude. The unbreakable bond between Logan and Titan did not need words. They knew each other's hearts. Over the next few days, Logan slowly regained his strength, a miracle considering the severity of the bullet wound that had torn through his muscle, but fortunately missed major organs. The doctor was amazed by Logan's survival, crediting Titan for his invaluable support during this ordeal. Logan had his own perspective on the situation, dismissing the idea that it was a miracle. Instead, he attributed his survival to Titan, his loyal canine German Shepherd, who never left his side, even during his transfer to a private recovery room. The visit from the precinct officers was brief, but Titan's presence was what grounded Logan, keeping him connected to reality. One night, Logan found himself lying awake, the dull ache of pain having faded, but an underlying sense of unease persisted. He should have been more aware of his surroundings, Logan thought to himself. Titan's head shot up at the sound of Logan's voice, and Briggs, dozing in the chair, raised an eyebrow at this sudden movement. Logan's jaw clenched as he exhaled, and for a moment, he thought about the shooter. He should have known something was off, and his guard had been down. Briggs sat forward, cautioning Logan. "Don't do that, you're one of the best, and Titan, he got to you in time." Logan looked down at Titan, running a hand over his fur, and the dog leaned into the touch, his warm brown eyes locked onto Logan's face. Briggs continued, "You're here, you made it, and it's not your fault." Titan, seemingly agreeing with Briggs, smirked, and Logan chuckled softly. "Damn right he did," Logan said, referring to the heroic actions of his loyal canine companion. Titan wagged his tail, and the hospital room fell silent once more. The hospital room was quiet except for the steady beeping of the heart monitor and occasional rustling of the blanket. It had been 3 days since Logan Carter woke up, and despite the worst being over, he still endured physical and mental pain. His loyal companion, Titan, a German shepherd, remained by his side, hardly sleeping as he kept a watchful eye on Logan. This was a clear indication that Titan was aware of Logan's ongoing internal struggle. Briggs, standing by the door, took a sip from his cup of stale hospital coffee, his gaze shifting between Logan and Titan. Logan then responded weakly to Briggs' comment about looking like hell, which made Briggs decide to enter the room. Briggs mentioned that the precinct was inquiring about Logan's status, as everyone was eager to celebrate Logan's recovery with a grand parade and awards for Titan. Logan and Titan were now in the spotlight. Logan's hand instinctively reached out to scratch behind Titan's ears, earning a soft huff of approval from the dog, but it stayed steadfast in its vigilance, indicating that its loyalty and concern for Logan's well-being were unwavering. Logan quietly shared his thoughts with Briggs, saying that Titan wasn't interested in awards, but rather Logan's recovery. Briggs' somber tone made Logan pause, recalling the traumatic night when Logan's life hung in the balance. The weight in his voice was a stark reminder of the gravity of the situation. Briggs' admission that he was there, witnessing the brutal attack, brought the memories flooding back. As Briggs hesitated, Logan felt the truth settling in. Without Titan's timely intervention, he would not have made it. The words hit Logan like a ton of bricks, forcing him to confront the reality of that fateful night. Watching the painkillers barely dull the ache in his ribs was a constant reminder of the trauma he endured. The anguish in Logan's mind refused to subside as he relived the moment in the alley, the deafening gunshot, the inky darkness, and the crippling feeling of helplessness. Titan's intuition sensed Logan's distress, and he sat up, his brown eyes locked onto Logan's, filled with empathy. Logan reached out to comfort Titan, murmuring reassurances as he stroked his thick fur. The whine that escaped Titan's lips was a poignant expression of his own distress. Logan reflected on his own actions, acknowledging that he should have heeded Titan's warnings. In a somber moment of self-awareness, Logan exhaled slowly, coming to terms with his own role in the harrowing experience. Titan nudged his hand as if trying to push away the guilt that Logan was feeling. However, Logan decided not to dwell on his emotions and instead chose to focus on the present moment, laughing softly at Titan's actions. Titan, sensing Logan's mood, licked his hand once before resting his head on Logan's arm. This affectionate gesture seemed to have a calming effect on Logan, and for a brief moment, he was able to put his thoughts aside. Later, Briggs spoke with Logan, trying to manage his feelings of guilt. Briggs had said that Logan shouldn't blame himself, but part of Logan struggled to let go of the incident. This inner conflict was evident as he lay on the cold pavement, bleeding out and struggling to breathe. The next day, a doctor came in to check on Logan's recovery. She informed him that his progress was going well, and that, if everything continued to improve, he would be able to leave the hospital in a few more days. However, Logan's mind was elsewhere. As soon as the doctor left, he turned to Briggs, who had just walked in with a cup of fresh coffee. Logan expressed his desire to get back to work as soon as he was cleared by the doctor. He couldn't just sit around and wait, as the longer he stayed away from duty, the harder it would be for him to return to his position. Briggs was taken aback by Logan's determination, and he let out a dry laugh, expressing his concern for Logan's well-being. Logan had been shot just a week ago, and Briggs thought it was essential for him to rest and recover before returning to work. Logan, however, refused to listen to Briggs' advice and persisted in his desire to get back to duty as soon as possible. Briggs, sensing Logan's resolve, studied him for a long moment before sighing in resignation. He understood Logan's concerns, but he also knew that his recovery was the top priority. Logan Carter sat in his hospital bed, carefully assessing his body's limitations. He had been told to wait at least another week before even considering engaging in light physical activity. However, Logan had never been one for following strict instructions or waiting patiently. Titan, Logan's loyal companion and protector, sat intently in front of him, observing Logan's every movement. He was watching for any signs of weakness or instability, using the sharp focus he employed during his work. Briggs stood nearby, his arms crossed as he watched the exchange between Logan and Titan. Logan's determination to stand up and walk despite his doctor's orders was evident. He took a deep breath before pressing his feet against the cold tile floor and slowly stood up. Titan immediately came to his aid, pressing his body against Logan's leg in a silent show of support. Logan gripped the thick fur at Titan's neck, using the physical connection to ground himself. Briggs shook his head in concern, observing the exchange with a mix of amusement and worry. Logan smirked, knowing that he and Titan had a unique bond that went beyond the ordinary partnership. The first steps were slow and cautious, with Logan feeling every shift in his body and lingering ache. However, with Titan walking beside him in perfect sync, Logan felt a sense of stability and trust. This was not just about physical recovery. It was about rebuilding trust and confidence. Titan, too, seemed to sense Logan's vulnerability and was there to offer silent support. He had been by Logan's side during his darkest moments, including the time when Logan had been bleeding out in an alley. Logan Carter, a survivor of a shooting, took his first steps outside the hospital with the help of his service dog, Titan, and his friend Briggs. As they stepped out into the crisp Chicago air, Logan felt a chill, reminding him of the day he was injured. Titan, a German shepherd, stayed close to Logan, his movements precise as he matched every step Logan took, ready to steady him if needed. Logan and his companions were trying to regain a sense of normalcy after a traumatic event. The shooting had left Logan feeling helpless, and he was struggling to come to terms with the fact that he had been powerless on that night. If not for Titan's intervention, Logan might not be alive. As they walked, Briggs cautioned Logan to take it slow, warning him against any sudden movements in case he felt dizzy or lost his balance. Logan reassured Briggs that he had Titan's support, and the canine's gentle nuzzle seemed to calm Logan's racing thoughts. Logan's determination to feel normal again was palpable, but it was clear that the ordeal had left him shaken. Despite the progress they had made, Briggs remained vigilant, offering a comforting presence as they navigated the outside world together. The trio's journey was not just about physical recovery, but also about emotional healing. Logan's experience had stripped him of his sense of control, leaving him grappling with feelings of helplessness. With Titan by his side, Logan was slowly regaining his confidence, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. Logan stood outside the hospital, near the parking lot, where his squad car had been recovered after the shooting. He looked forward to returning to it, despite not yet being cleared for duty. As they approached the vehicle, Logan's reflection stared back at him through the driver's side window, revealing a tired and worn individual. His partner Briggs watched him carefully, but Logan was determined to get back to normal. He opened the door, and the familiar scent of the car, combined with the smell of old coffee and Titan's fur, was a welcome comfort. Logan hesitated for a moment before sliding into the driver's seat, with his ribs protesting from the stitches. As he sat down, Logan felt a sense of normalcy return, with his hands resting on the steering wheel and fingers tracing the grooves. Titan, who had been waiting patiently, jumped into the passenger seat, his usual spot. Briggs leaned against the open door, but ultimately told Logan that he wasn't cleared to drive yet. Logan acknowledged that he knew the rules, but Titan's presence made him feel more like himself. They sat in silence for a moment, with Logan listening to the soothing sound of Titan's breathing. Briggs eventually intervened, reminding Logan that they needed to get back inside before the doctor became upset. Logan nodded, slowly stepping out of the car, with Titan following close behind. As Sergeant Carter, Logan, and his dog Titan walked into the hospital lobby, they were met with smiles from the nurses who had been present during Logan's previous visit when he was unconscious. A young nurse named Emily approached Logan, and he nodded in response, indicating that it felt good to be moving again. Emily smiled and complimented Titan on his status as a local celebrity, but the dog remained serious. Logan and his companions continued down the hallway, heading back to Logan's room, when the Captain Reynolds, appeared on the scene. Captain Reynolds, a seasoned officer with a commanding presence, looked at Logan and Titan with a hint of approval. He inquired about Logan's condition, and Logan reported that he had been up and walking. Captain Reynolds nodded, pleased with Logan's progress. He informed Logan that as soon as he was cleared, he and Titan would be expected to return to duty. Logan expressed surprise, and Captain Reynolds explained that he was aware of Logan's skills and the importance of his work in the field. He emphasized that desk duty would drive Logan crazy, and that he belonged out in the field with his dog Titan, who had proven himself to be a valuable asset to the department. Logan's rehabilitation was a long process, and it required patience and care from those around him. Reynolds, his captain, had a way of putting things into perspective, acknowledging Logan's progress and letting him know that he was ready for his spot back on the team. Logan felt a sense of relief wash over him as he heard Reynolds' words of encouragement. The news of Logan being awarded for his heroism was a significant boost to his morale. Titan, his loyal canine companion, was by his side throughout this period, providing emotional support and comfort whenever Logan needed it. The days passed slowly, but with each passing day, Logan grew stronger and closer to full recovery. His interactions with the hospital staff became more like those with colleagues at the precinct, which was a testament to his progress. The person suspected of planning the ambush was being hunted down by the authorities, causing a buzz of excitement among the public about the heroic actions of Titan, a hero canine who had saved his handler's life. This led to widespread media attention, with many wanting to interview Titan to share his story. However, Titan remained uninterested in fame. His focus was solely on his handler, Logan. By the end of the week, the doctors finally gave Logan the news he had been waiting for. He would be healing well. However, there were still some conditions he had to meet, such as regular physical therapy to avoid straining himself. Logan was allowed to return home, which was both a comforting and unfamiliar idea for him, as he hadn't been back to his house since the night of the shooting. Logan's partner Briggs was excited to take him home, joking that he would be Logan's chauffeur for the day. Titan sensed the change in mood and followed Logan closely as they drove home. The drive was quiet, with the weight of the past few weeks settling in for Logan. He couldn't help but think about what might have happened if Titan hadn't intervened, and if Briggs hadn't arrived on time to save him. When they arrived at Logan's house, Briggs put the car in park, and Logan exhaled slowly, feeling a mix of emotions. The house looked the same, but it felt different to Logan now. He stepped out of the car, and Titan was by his side, matching his pace as soon as Logan opened the door. Logan's dog, Titan, cautiously explored their house, sniffing every nook and cranny to ensure their safety. Once Titan was satisfied that everything was all right, he indicated to Logan that it was safe to be home by letting out a soft huff. Briggs, Titan's handler, had been with Logan, but now he left, leaving Logan alone with Titan for the first time in a while. As soon as Briggs was gone, Logan felt a tremendous sense of relief. Titan noticed Logan's relaxed demeanor and nuzzled him, signaling that he was happy to be reunited with his handler. Logan responded by picking Titan up and embracing him tightly, forming a strong bond. After weeks of separation, Logan and Titan were finally reunited. As they stood outside the police precinct, Logan breathed in the fresh morning air, feeling a sense of peace and tranquility. Titan, ever vigilant, sat by Logan's side, scanning their surroundings for any signs of danger. When Logan asked if Titan was ready to go back to work, the dog's tail wagged enthusiastically, indicating that he was more than prepared to face the challenges ahead. Logan, with Titan by his side, felt invincible and ready to take on whatever lay ahead. The officers at the precinct showed their respect by nodding and clapping in approval. Logan and Titan's reunion was a heartwarming moment that reminded everyone of the importance of loyalty and courage. Their bond was a testament to the unbreakable connection between a handler and their dog. If you found this story inspiring, please consider subscribing to the channel and sharing it with someone you know who appreciates uplifting stories like this one. Stay tuned for more incredible tales of loyalty, courage, and the unbreakable bond between humans and animals.